Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the dually build. Today we're gonna do a bunch of different stuff. Put a bed on, fix the stuff that I broke, talk about the taillights, headlights, all this other good stuff, do some interior stuff, do some exterior stuff. We got a lot of stuff to do in this video. Again, I got this truck from 74 Auto. If you guys don't know, 74 Auto is a place in Missouri. They buy easily fixable cars and trucks so people like you and me can get them on the road super quick. Make sure to check out, see what they got in their inventory right now, because there could be something you guys could really want for super cheap, because that's exactly what they do. Really appreciate them for hooking this truck up. Now to the build. Can I get a freaking yeehaw in the chat, please? Somebody, put on some country. Okay, real talk, I'm gonna try to make this as simple as I can. You guys don't, I don't know if you guys like the hat or not. I got a weird confession. I fucking love cowboy hats. I've been fighting it for years, man, but I just don't want to be known as the cowboy hat guy, you know what I'm saying? That's not something you can just shake off. Like, you start wearing a cowboy hat in like public and stuff, that's who you are, you're cowboy hat guy, right? You can't just show up in Nikes one day after rocking a cowboy hat. It's not allowed. People are gonna look at you funny and say, hey, where's your fucking cowboy hat guy? And that's just you forever, it's cowboy hat guy. So anyway, found a guy, I've been looking forever for a bed. Like, I haven't fully decided whether or not I'm against doing a flatbed or not. However, I still want to have a regular truck bed on this truck in the meantime, especially to pass inspection. I don't think it'll pass without a bed on it. And it's been really hard pressed finding a bed, right? Because they're expensive. Locally, there's usually nothing. I mean, look, there's nothing out here. So I did some phone calls, I had my people look out for stuff, and there's a couple in like Florida and Alabama specifically for this truck, or a Chevy bed will work as well. You know, they're all in like the $2,000 or $3,000 range, even with dents and scratches. It's like crazy expensive. And plus delivery fee, you know, it's like $300 or $400 for delivery. So you're looking at like 3 or 4 grand to get a new bed on this truck. After making some phone calls, I found one here in Rockmart, $1,000 to help you put it on. I was like, dude, on the way, see you in a bit. So that's where we're headed. He says he's got a forklift he's gonna put it on with, so we'll see how this goes. I think I have some of the hardware, I don't know. Damn, look at this place. That is a bunch of truck beds.
Your destination is on the right.
I think this guy knows what he's doing. He's got a bunch of damn truck beds. Also, I didn't tell this guy that I'm a YouTuber. Like, it's like kind of weird working with smaller businesses. It usually just kind of throws them off. They're like, YouTube, I don't give a fuck about YouTube. I'm not interested in being like, hey, you wanna hook it up? Because it's $1,000, man. That's like the cheapest thing for this truck. That actually seemed to sit on there a little bit easier than I thought it was going to. Shit. So when I called this guy, I asked him if he had a bed for a 2015 Chevy or GMC. I think there was some miscommunication, mostly because I've never had a 25 or a 3500. I didn't really pay too much attention because the 2015 Silverados and the GMCs both share the same bed. They'll fit the exact same taillights and everything. However, I didn't know this until later. This is a 2013 Chevy Silverado bed. So it's actually the previous generation bed. All the bolts still match up the same and it will fit. It's just that some of the body lines don't perfectly match. However, I think this would be a really good bed to practice some stuff on. And once you get it wrapped, you'll never even be able to tell the difference, I don't think. I don't want to talk about how much of a pain in the ass it was to get this thing on. Turn this back down to 1 for reasons. Man, okay, so here's the deal. Odd thing enough, this is gonna transition to something weird, but so we got the bed on, right? Fucking dope. So when the truck was received, it actually had frame damage, like a little bit of bent frame, but they pulled the frame back the best they could. However, it's still just a little bit off. I only have, I think, 3 or 4 bolts really holding down that bed right now. It's enough to get me from point A to point B. I'm not towing anything with it, you know, I don't have anything in the back of it. And it's crazy to think that there's only 6 bolts that hold that whole bed down. But like I said, the fuel pump is disconnected, so I'm keeping it in the low power mode, which is the setting, the first setting, the 1 setting. Right now though, I'm on my way to a dealership to go pick up a car for Laura, with Laura. Yesterday, I made an update in one of my videos that I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but so yesterday I was like, I dropped this truck off at Magnum to go pick up Laura's car. Because she has a Tacoma, right? She's always had Tacomas, she's always loved Tacomas. She's had like a bunch of them. But she informed me the other day that she was done with trucks. Like, I don't want trucks anymore. I don't want a truck right now. I was like, really? She goes, yeah, I want like a little sports car, something I can zip around in. I'm like, really? What are you thinking on? And she's like, well, I don't know. All she knew is that she wanted like a little sports car to zip around and something small, light, and fun. And I was like, bet, okay. So I did some research. I found a couple of cool cars that I thought that she might like, and we went and test drove one of them yesterday, technically. And she really likes it, but here's the deal. So I called this dealership. I was like, yo, do you guys have this car for sale right now? And they're like, yeah, it's on the website, right? I'm like, yeah. But I just want to make sure because like I'm about to drop everything that I'm doing to go to this dealership. Laura's gonna drop everything she's doing so she can go and get her car. And like, I just want to make sure that it's there. Like, you know, when it comes to buying cars, man, sometimes dealerships do kind of sketchy things and sometimes there's miscommunications. And I go, listen, I just want to make sure that the vehicle is still there. Like still for sale. I don't want to waste my whole day there. I don't want to waste 3 or 4 hours at a dealership so you guys can tell us that the car's been sold. I want to make sure that it's there. And like, no, it's here, it's for sale. I'm like, cool, awesome. We get there, surprise, surprise, it's sold. Someone already put a deposit on it yesterday. Wow, we showed her ass a little bit, I won't lie. We were pretty rude about it. Right, and rightfully so, I think. And obviously deposit means like you can't sell it. That's the whole point behind deposit. Well, she gets a phone call this afternoon saying, hey, the guy who had the deposit on the car is not gonna pick it up. So if you want it, it's yours. So that's where we're going. We're gonna go pick up Laura a car. Just the thought of her in a sports car, man, gets me just fucking rock hard. We're gonna go pick up the Laura a little sports car. And I'm excited to see it, guys. I really am. Here we go.
So blue.
Look at this. I love it. I am so happy, Laura.
Me too.
God, it's so pretty.
Like the first thing we do as soon as Laura gets her new car is take it to our guys here. Yeah, this is Cody, this is my girlfriend Laura. They haven't met yet, it's nice. Man, this thing's so sexy looking.
It looks so good. Man, if only I knew some good tint guys. Specifically 2 really tall Asians. A 2016 M235i. So it's a 235i, but it's got the M treatment, so it comes with like a couple extra things. I think bigger brakes. It's just got M parts on it. It's not technically an M2, but it's got M parts on it, minus 2 or 3 little things here and there. Probably a little bit less horsepower too. But this is the kicker for me, is that it's got X-Drive. It's all-wheel drive. So, like, obviously Laura's not gonna be doing mad skids, right? But this thing's fun, fast. I haven't driven it yet. But man, we just picked this thing up last night. Got this nice little carbon splitter on the back, or the carbon wing on the back. Oh man, freaking gorgeous, man. Man, it's crazy how much just like some dark windows can change a car. All right, so now before we focus any more on the bed, we're gonna focus on a little bit of the interior stuff. So, I know I mentioned this previously before, but I'm gonna be doing a Starlight interior, which means basically you run fiber optic cables through this interior headliner, and it's like, it'll have like stars, and like it'll look really, really cool. It's hard to explain. That my buddy does this, and he's gonna hook us up with it and help us do it. That means obviously I'm gonna have to pull off the headliner anyway. And I thought, you know, he's probably not gonna be able to do it for a couple of days, so I might as well go ahead and pull the interior headliner out now. That's because I wanna redo it anyway. Now, as you guys know, this truck build, I'm really stepping out of a lot of my comfort zones with this. I want to make sure that everyone knows that I'm going into a lot of this stuff without any experience. I've never done any upholstery or headliner work ever, and I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos on it, and it makes it look pretty easy, which means it's gonna be a problem. Because this headliner's dirty, and I'm gonna be doing a cool headliner anyway, I was like, you know what this headliner could really use? Like a suede, like a black suede, or an Alcantara headliner. I think that would look really cool. So that's what I'm gonna go ahead and start doing now. So I wasn't gonna do this because all the tutorials online, everyone shows their specific vehicle, right? Like when you pull out panels and stuff like that. So obviously, this truck is gonna be different than your truck if you have a different truck and how it disassembles. So I wasn't gonna focus too much on how to pull everything apart. I will kind of go through the steps a little bit. For instance, this one in particular has these 2 big clips, and then on the inside, when you pull out the trim, there's 2 screws that go in through here. So you just pull out those 2 screws, and then you just apply force and pop these 2 clips out. And if you're careful, you won't break anything. Pretty
simple stuff. And then removing this is actually pretty easy too. On the back of here, you're gonna have, you just pop this little panel out here. Since on the back of here, you have this little panel, you just pop this thing out with a screwdriver, pop that thing out. This actually comes right off. Putting them in a bag so I don't lose anything. And I'll label these like headliner or something. Then you'll have a screw. This one in particular is a 6-point star, like a T10 or something. So you just unscrew that and this whole thing will pop out. Then on this side, you can just pop this little panel out here. Put that in our bag. 3 more screws and you just pull those out. And then this is pretty consistent across the board for most vehicles. You have just a little connector plug that you just unplugged, and then you'll be able to pull this away. Then after this screw is out, this one, there's nothing attaching it, so you can just pull that back and pull this off when you go to pull the headliner off. Removing your oh shit handle is pretty easy too. Pop off the little plastic covers here with a screwdriver or something. That's not gonna mar it up. This truck has 8mm. Now for this particular truck, this isn't really necessary, but I'm gonna do it to make my life easier. This is tucked up underneath your A-pillar here, and I'm not even gonna take off the whole A-pillar. What I'm gonna do is just gonna pop this little cover off right there, which contains a little bolt in here. I think this is a 10mm. Just kind of half pop this out so I can get this from behind here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm not even gonna pull it out all the way. Just gonna kind of have it halfway in there. Pop this A-pillar out just a little bit. Like that, to where I'll be able to get the headliner out. So now everything in the front is removed. All we gotta do is remove the DVD player and the rear handles, and that should be pretty much it. I mean, there's probably gonna be a few clips that hold the rest of it in place, but for the most part, you guys get the idea. So I'll just fast forward through that. I don't even know if this thing works yet. Let me check. Hey, it does work, look at that. No way. Boom, got the headliner out. However, didn't know the best way to pull it out, ended up pulling it out like hella sideways and got a pretty gnarly crease here. There's a pretty nasty crease up there, right where my finger's at where I pulled it out. I didn't know the best way to get it out. Point is, it's out. I think I can fix that with some like fiberglass resin or something. I'll cross that bridge in a little bit. We're gonna take on this in a second. So I'm gonna put this inside. All right, now that we get the headliner taken out, I wanna take on something before I start removing the headliner. I want to steam clean, or not steam clean, but I really want to clean these carpets because it smells like shit. When that back window's broken, it sat on the lot just kind of collecting rain, so there's like a lot of, I don't want to say mildew. It didn't even really smell that bad, but there's definitely like a stench in here that I like to take care of. So I've got a carpet cleaner that I'm going to use in here. I'm going to vacuum first. That's the most important thing before using any sort of cleaner, is you want to vacuum, get nice and clean first. There's really not a good way to get this angle with this camera in here. I think I'm just gonna do a before and after. So this is before in the driver's seat, and this is boom. Well, I mean, it's certainly a lot cleaner. It's still a little wet, but I have the solution. And we're doing the passenger side too. So now that the interior is cleaned up, I'm going to dry it out, and I'll show you how I'm gonna do that, but at first I gotta do some moving the thing around. That's a tight fit. So much cleaner. Now we'll just let this run for an hour. Now we have our headliner completely removed. Well, I mean the actual headliner being the whole thing. Now I still have to pull off the cloth material, and on top of that there's a foam kind of behind it. This is where it kind of gets annoying. So basically you have like a cloth-like material, your headliner, with foam backing that's been glued to this board. It's kind of like a mixture of compressed fiberglass. I don't know what to call it. I'm sure one of you guys know exactly what the material is made out of, but it's not strong material, so you have to be kind of careful. I've already made a couple of cracks and breaks on it, which I think I can repair. But I'm basically just gonna start peeling off the cloth. And this is kind of where it's like, okay, there's no going back now. You're doing this. Oh, I've already started. Let's do this. Now that we got all of our material off, all we have left is this foam. And this is going to be a bitch and a half to get off of. There's really no good way to go about this. If this is what you're gonna be doing, prepare to be here for a while and prepare for a cleanup. I got a little wire brush wheel that goes on my angle grinder, but rather than putting on my angle grinder, I'm gonna put on a drill. So I just ran a little bolt through here, just enough for the drill to grab onto. I'm hopefully gonna use this to lightly apply some force and see if this works. Give this a shot. Getting late, so I'm gonna call this good for the night. This is actually taking a lot longer than I really wanted it to. Drill worked really good. I still have to knock off all this little bit. This doesn't have to be perfectly clean for you to be able to lay down some new headliner. You know, as long as you just get anything that's really hardcore textured off. If you can see all around it, I've put these little circles and lines, just all the different tips. These represent every area that looks like it has a crack or a bend or a split in the material that I don't like in the headliner itself. Whether they be there from the previous owner or me pulling it out, you know, however, there's a couple spots on this that I do not like, that I would rather have nice and strong versus them being all cracked and whatnot. I'm afraid that they'll show through. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix up some resin, the same stuff they'd use for like fiberglass, apply it in a kind of a light thin on both sides, let it dry overnight in the garage, and then come back in the morning and sand it out till it's nice and smooth. That way everything's nice and tight together on both sides. I'll make sure to sand down everything so it's nice and smooth so it won't show to the other side. But yeah, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 spots. For instance, right here, there's a pretty gnarly crack in between here. This is kind of more tucked towards the windshield, so it's something you probably will never notice. However, it's certainly a weak point here, and if I'm putting it back together inside the truck and this were to fold back over itself, it could really split and probably even ruin the Alcantara, so I don't want to be doing that. This is Wet Systems epoxy. You're talking about like definitely an overnight cure. And I'm doing this on purpose because I want to be able to make sure I have enough time. I'll let this sit up in the garage. I just want to be able to apply this pretty casual. That way I've got all the time in the world to let it sit. Spatula here and kind of make sure it gets in between the cracks. That should give us a nice bond. When this is nice and cured, I will hit this with some sandpaper and smooth it out so you won't be able to feel it through the actual headliner itself. Same type of stuff you would use to repair any sort of fiberglass or, you know, boats, motorcycle, fairing, stuff like that. Now this one doesn't crack all the way through. It's actually mostly on the other side. However, if I reinforce this side, it should give us a little bit more stability. All of our spots patched now. We'll let this dry overnight. And then the following day after that, we will put the headliner back on to get it ready for when we do the Starlight interior. All right, it's the next day. All the epoxy that I've done is hardened up nice and good. There's no separations anymore. All I need to do now is sand down all the spots a little bit to remove any rough spots so it won't feel through. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish removing all of the dust first, or the foam. I have the entire headliner basically stripped. I got some loose particles here, but don't worry about those. Just some 80 grit sandpaper by hand and kind of glance over every little nook and cranny as I can with this, just to smooth out any sort of lumps that I may have missed and to help sand out any sort of the epoxy that I put down. So the headliner is completely stripped and we're ready for the new headliner material whenever it shows up, which will be tomorrow hopefully, along with the adhesive that I'm gonna use. It's already got foam backing on it, so it should just be like spray and apply, I hope. We'll fight that battle when we come to it. Now, before I paint all the trim to match the headliner, because I'm doing a black headliner, and obviously you don't want like the tan bits to be sticking out. So before I do that, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna pull the seats out. So I got thinking about it and I was like, you know, I should have definitely pulled those seats out to pull out the headliner. It probably would have made my life so much easier. When I was pulling out the headliner, I didn't care much about how the headliner looked when I got it out. But going back in, I definitely wanted to be in the best condition possible, which means I don't want it like rubbing up against stuff, especially if I can avoid it. And on top of that, I want those seats reupholstered. And I'm not gonna tackle that by myself, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't know how to sew, I've never been good at sewing, and it's not something I've been particularly interested in. I'd rather delegate that task to someone who can do it. That's the reason I did the headliners, because I've always kind of wanted to know how it's done, and it's always something that I thought to myself, it's like, hey, I could do that. So it's something that I take interest and pride in trying to do. However, like learning how to sew and get the stitching right for the seats is just not something that I particularly care about. So that's the next step. And I figured while I'm at it, I might as well clean underneath the seats too. I should have just done that yesterday. It would have made my life a lot easier. So you win some and you lose some. Let's get started. All right, so I'm about to pull these seats out, but these seats are airbag. Most newer models, if not all newer models, have airbags usually in the seats, which is a good thing, you know, but if you're gonna do this, you wanna make sure you disconnect your battery, give it a couple of minutes to like let the excess electricity flow out the system. I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect the battery, take the seats out. The driver's gonna be my last one, and then I should still be able to move it around without any issues without the seats in it if I need to move it out of the driveway. But you definitely wanna have the battery disconnected when you remove the seats and then when you put them back in. So just remember that. Now, time to take out the driver's seats. Rear seats was really easy. There was just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bigger nuts they had to take off. Got them in a bag, label them rear seats. Like this. I've taken out the older bucket seats in like my Tacoma and some of the newer seats, but not like this because these have the airbags in them. Looks like there's just 2 T50s here and here. And then if I'm right, it should just work on like a pivot system. These hold the back in place and then the front are kind of latched in, almost like, you know, like a latch. But you wanna make sure that these seats, if you're doing automatic seats that are particularly like this, you wanna have the seats forward before you start removing them. But because you won't be able to get to the T-bits otherwise, because this covers on the rails. All right. Man, I won't lie, getting those front seats out were a lot easier than I thought they were gonna be. I'm not gonna bother taking out the center console if I don't have to though, because I don't need to do anything to it. All right. Wow. Honestly, that was a lot easier than I thought it was gonna be, and I really wish I had done that earlier. Really wish I had taken the seats out earlier. I guarantee this headliner goes in way easier now. I'm actually going to clean underneath the seat here now that I still have the extractor. I was supposed to return it like 2 hours ago, but oh well. So I'm gonna clean all of this up, and then I'm gonna go take the seats to my upholstery guy. And yeah, so cut.
Hope you're ready for this.
Got to use the old fan technique, which works good. But while that's drying, it's time for me to take these to get them reupholstered. They are disgusting. Man, it's been a hot minute since I've driven this because Laura had it for a little while I was getting her truck touched up by Magnum. But I'm about to drop these seats off and talk with the guy who does the upholstery. This is recommended by my friend Lewis. I think I'm gonna do something a little different. I'd like the seats to basically be the same color for the most part, but I think I'll do a little insert where your butt goes and where your back goes, so it's kind of like it'll break up the design a little bit. Maybe some diamond stitching. I just want to do something just not crazy different. You know, I don't want it to be ugly, but I want it to be kind of nicer, because this truck is nice now that I've put my hands all over it. And another thing is that while the seats are out, I need to go ahead and get the back glass replaced. Because when I was asking the person who replaces glass, I was like, hey man, I need to get this back piece replaced too. He's like, you definitely need to remove the back seat so I can get in there. I'm like, awesome, can do. So now that I got all the seats out and the interior nice and cleaned up, it'd be the perfect time to get that back glass replaced. But having something reupholstered, I don't think is necessarily an overnight process, you know? I think that he probably has to order the material that I want, and you know, there's shipping time, and it's gonna take a minute or two to get that. Then on top of that, he's got to sew it all. You know, I've seen how it's done before. It's not something that I think that I would want to take on, but you definitely have to get the material cut right and sew it all together and make sure it fits, and then you have to remount it. Plus, I think he's gonna have to replace the foam in one of the seats. So I'll do my best to record and do some stuff while the seats are taken out. I'm not sure how much I can really do while the seats are out, but obviously I won't be able to drive it anywhere. All right, so I just got done dropping the seats off at Mag Upholstery. And when I was there, Alex, the owner, showed me around and saw some of the stuff that he did and stuff that he was working on. And man, I gotta say, like, I'm very happy to have this guy doing my seats. Everything that he's done just looks so clean and perfect, man. I'm really excited to see what he does with the Denali. Cause I was kind of like, yo, dude, like, you know, you're the designer here, man. Show me what you think looks good. I gave him kind of like the color and 2 or 3 ideas that I had in my head, and I was like, do you think this will work? And he's like, oh dude, I got this. So I'm very excited to see what he pulls out for this truck. I also told him to do one little finishing touch that I think he's really gonna enjoy doing, and that I think that you guys will also be able to appreciate. That being said, it's probably gonna take a little while, a couple weeks before the truck seats are ready. So that means the builds are probably gonna come a little bit slower for the next week. There is some stuff that I can do that doesn't involve me like driving the truck around, but I'll do my best to keep you guys updated. I'm really enjoying this build, and I hope you guys are too. Let's check our list when we get home. All right, look at that. That is much better. I don't know if I explained this earlier, but this carpet's a little torn up right here. However, put some floor mats on, you'll never see that. And there's just one little bit of stain right here that'll get covered up by the seats, and you'll never see that either. It smells a million times better back here too. Didn't have that stinky feet smell anymore. Here, this is where all the water got in from the broken window. Looks so much better back here, so much better. Here's where things get weird though, because this is comfortable. There's so much more room. I bet that headliner is going to go in here so easy. I do have to move the truck though. I cannot let it just sit here in my driveway like this. I'm going to have to move it back over there. When I replaced the seat belts, the airbag light did go away. However, since the seats are unbuckled right now, the airbag light's still going to be on. I'm going to have to remove... I can't record this. It's going to be impossible. Yeah, this is so hard. This is fucking not easy. You lose a lot of sight, believe it or not, when you don't have seats. You also lose a lot of like stability. Let's look at our list. So I just kind of rewrote everything. Seatbelt's done. Still waiting on tires. Windshield's done. Still need to do rear window and alignment. Alignment, I'll get that done when I go and get the body work done. Bed, done. What's up? Tint, done. Inspection, that'll be the last thing on the list essentially. Taillights, I'll go into that in the next video, but done. Headlights, done from Dow Dynamics. Rear shocks, hopefully these will be on the way. And then backup camera handle. Because it's a Chevy bed, I can't go with a GM tailgate handle because there's usually a handle that has like a backup camera built into it. So I really just need the handle, I guess. That's on the required list of shit to do. Here is the accessories page, things that I've been writing down that I would like to have done. Front steel bumper, rear steel bumper. I've reached out and waiting to hear a response back on that. Grill, I don't know if I'm gonna go with an aftermarket one or not, or just paint the one that I currently have or add lights to it. I don't know yet, but I still have it on the list just in case. Seat upholstery, I've dropped that off, so I'll check that off when it's done. Side steps, I haven't decided if I wanna buy a set or if I wanna fabricate my own side steps. I definitely think I can make my own. Headache rack, that's something I had on here I thought might look cool. Haven't decided if I want one or not. Don't know if I need new wheels, I don't think I do, but that's on the list just in case. Key fob, I have a new key fob, I just have to get it programmed. Headliner, I'm working on that, I'll hopefully have that checked off tomorrow. Clean the carpets, bazinga, done. Paint trim, I'm gonna work on that tomorrow as well, all the interior trim. Starlight headliner, that's when, that's gonna be kind of like the last thing on the headliner to get done. Bed lighting, I'd like to have some interior lights on the inside of the bed so I can see shit if I need to. Exhaust, you know, it's like I don't really know if there's any I don't really know anything about diesel exhaust if I need an aftermarket one. I do know that the current one dumps directly underneath the back of the cab, which means that, you know, I'll probably need an aftermarket one. Or at least just get some like big ass tubing and make my own, I don't know. And then finally floor mats. This list is gonna keep growing, but I do have the hookup on floor mats now too, so I might as well go ahead and strike. Well, I'm not gonna cross it off until it's done, but floor mats are gonna be another last minute touch kind of deal. So yeah, those are the last things on the list as of right now. Every time that I work on the truck, I come across something new. As a matter of fact, I need to rewire the fuel pump here in a little bit too. That'll be in the next video, and I got more and more stuff for you guys. I'm trying not to make these videos too long, and I'm trying not to shove them down your throat as much, but people seem to really be liking the build, and they keep wanting more episodes, so it's kind of like I'm putting a lot of time and effort into them, and I hope you guys like them. And there will be, yeah, there's gonna be more, like a lot more of these episodes, I think. And then after we get it done, we can just continuously go from there. I'm doing my best not to make these episodes like bullshit. I want them to be like genuine builds. They're long and people seem to like the longer videos. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy them. It's kind of outside my normal stuff. And yeah, I've created a playlist, so if you want to watch every video, you can. I'm bad at ending videos, so goodbye.